All right. The goal of this video is to equip buyers with a structured operational due diligence playbook. As a buyer, you've found a business that looks great on paper: strong financials, solid revenue, promising market potential. But here's the real question: can it actually run efficiently once you take it over? Will operations scale, or will you be walking into an operational nightmare? Now, before you rely on your own ability to manage and grow a business, stick around and I will uncover some of the most overlooked aspects of M&A deals. This may have been an afterthought or less important than the financial piece, but my goal here is to get you to think about the importance of truly doing your operational due diligence. In this episode, we'll break down a structured approach to evaluating a target's operations beyond the balance sheet, of course, and help you uncover risks, assess scalability, and negotiate smarter. So far, we've covered an introduction to M&A from an operational lens, buy-side strategy, and sell-side strategy. And today, we're going to cover buy-side due diligence. I'll treat this almost like a playbook, so you may want to have something handy to take notes. Okay, how to conduct operational due diligence. You already know financial due diligence tells you what a company has done. Operational due diligence tells you how it got there and whether it can sustain that success post acquisition. Now, we've gone over these in the strategy sessions, but today we're going to go a little bit deeper. So let's recap. The key components are scalability and process maturity. Can the company handle growth without breaking down? Workforce efficiency. Are employees productive, or is the business bloated with inefficiencies? Supply chain and vendor risk. Are there single points of failure that could disrupt operations? The next one here is technology and compliance. Are systems outdated or misaligned with regulatory requirements? And the last one here is post-close integration risks. What are the red flags that could make integration painful or costly? Without a structured operational review, you risk overpaying for a business that looks healthy but is actually held together with duct tape and wishful thinking. Let's move into assessing scalability, workforce efficiency, and process maturity. One of the biggest M&A pitfalls is buying a business that can't scale. You might think you're acquiring a growth engine, but if the operational foundation is weak, expansion will lead to chaos, not profit. In previous videos, I shared real-world case studies on Quaker Oats and Snapple, which was in 1994 to 97, and Daimler Chrysler merger, which was 98 to 2007. Let's talk about another notable case before we move on. This case study you may have forgotten about, but this was when dial-up internet connections and online shopping really started to take off. The M&A case I want to go over today is eBay and Skype. This was 2005 to 2009. Now, in 2005, eBay acquired a company called Skype, $2.6 billion. Yeah. In 2005, that was a lot of money, and it's a lot of money now, but in 2005, consider that an enormous transaction. eBay was aiming to integrate voice communication into its online marketplace. The goal was to enhance buyer-seller interactions by allowing users to negotiate deals in real time, which I suppose sounds funny today, but at this time, I'd say that was pretty progressive, actually. There were a number of operational weaknesses that led to its failure. The first was no clear operational synergy. eBay's strength was an e-commerce platform that thrived on asynchronous transactions, meaning buyers and sellers interacted mainly through messages. I personally remember it. Skype's core function was a real-time communication tool meant for personal and business use, not really e-commerce negotiations. Think about like what Zoom or FaceTime is to us now was what was Skype to us back then. But Skype was actually kind of expensive to make a call. I think you needed like a credit card or credits or something. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But it wasn't as sophisticated, let's say, as like Zoom or Teams or Google Meets or any of the tools that we have today for video communication platforms. Now, what went wrong was eBay failed to integrate Skype into its core business because most buyers and sellers preferred text-based communication over call. The assumption that auctions and purchases would benefit from live voice interaction never actually materialized. The second issue was major cultural and strategic misalignment. Skype was built as a disruptive independent tech company with a startup mindset, where eBay operated as a structured marketplace driven organization focused on transactions and payments. So, what went wrong? Skype's leadership clashed with eBay's corporate structure, no surprise, leading to internal tension and misaligned goals. eBay struggled to retain key Skype executives, losing vital production vision and development expertise. The third issue was poor due diligence on technology ownership. Skype's core technology was a proprietary peer to peer or P2P system owned by its original founders, not eBay. eBay failed to acquire the full rights to this technology during the purchase. Skype's underlying software, the global index technology, remained in the hands of the original founders. When eBay tried to develop new features, it faced licensing and legal roadblocks, making the innovation impossible. The technology dispute forced eBay to write down the value of Skype by nearly $1.4 billion. The outcome by 2009 was eBay sold Skype for $1.9 billion, taking a $1.2 billion loss after failing to generate value from the acquisition. Now, I know this was a long time ago, but we're looking at it in hindsight. But try not to miss the point here. Some of the key takeaways were ensure strategic fit. Buying a company should create real operational and business value, not just a theoretical synergy. Conduct a deep tech and IP or intellectual property due diligence. Ensure the company owns and controls its core technology before acquiring. Align cultural and leadership. Without a shared vision, operational execution will fail, especially in acquisitions involving startups. Okay, let's get back to the playbook. Let's just quickly recap what we talked about before the case study. The questions you need to ask yourself are key processes documented and repeatable? Is technology modern and capable of supporting growth? And are workflows optimized, or is the business reliant on manual workaround? There are hidden costs of poor scalability. Let's start with uncovering hidden risks in supply chain compliance and technology. Not all risks are obvious during the initial due diligence. Some of the most dangerous ones are buried beneath the surface. Here's what you need to look out for. The first one here is supply chain weakness. Over-reliance on single vendors. We've talked about that before, but it's worth mentioning again. I really don't want you to forget it, and the lack of redundancy, and of course, geopolitical risks. The next one here is regulatory and compliance gaps, hidden legal liabilities, outdated policies, missing certifications, things like that. And lastly here, technology debt, legacy systems, cybersecurity vulnerabilities, lack of system integration. These are among some of the most common risks. Another major red flag is a business still running on outdated proprietary software with no upgrade plan. Not only does this limit scalability, but transitioning to modern systems post-acquisition can actually be extremely expensive and also very difficult if you do not carefully craft a change management plan. Okay, next let's talk about how to identify post-close integration roadblocks before signing. One of the most underestimated risks in M&A is post-integration. If two companies don't align operationally, the acquisition can quickly turn into a liability, as we went over earlier with eBay and Skype and some of the other cases in previous videos. Okay, so here's what I want you to look at when you're thinking about post-integration risk. These are all interconnected if you didn't know that already. If one is off, it's very likely that the rest are also off. Cultural and leadership alignment, will teams work together or will there be friction? System integration, can technology and data be merged seamlessly? Process compatibility, are workflows similar, or will significant rework be needed? Workforce retention. Will key employees stay, or will they leave post-acquisition? Here's another real-world example. The AOL Time Warner merger. It was one of the biggest M&A failures in history, largely due to cultural and operational misalignment. AOL's fast-paced at the time, each tech-driven culture. AOL's fast-paced at the time, tech-driven culture was extremely innovative in bringing social interaction over the web to the masses, which clashed with Time Warner's traditional media approach, making integration nearly impossible. What resulted? Are you ready for this number? Remember, I said this was the biggest to date, a $99 billion loss and one of the worst deals ever made. I know, it actually hurt for me to say it. The moral of the story is, spotting these misalignments before the deal closes can save you millions and in some cases billions. and prevent a catastrophic acquisition. Now, here's where things can get interesting. Let's say you do all of the legwork and find areas that do not align with what was presented, but you think you can navigate this deal anyway. How to negotiate based on operational findings. Once you've completed operational due diligence, you're actually in a strong position to negotiate. If risks are uncovered, you have three options. You can proceed, renegotiate, or walk away. Here are my guidelines. You'll proceed if operational risks are low and the business is well structured. Renegotiate if risks exist but can be quantified and priced into the deal. And walk away if the operational risks are too significant to justify the investment. Now, I know you want most deals to work out, and it's a lot of work finding them. It's a lot of work doing your due diligence, and it's frustrating if you have to walk away. But moving forward, knowing the red flags and those red flags exceeding your appetite will only result in organizational stress, personal stress, financial debt, and turnover. Renegotiate if possible, but know when to walk away. Let's say you find a target company's supply chain is weak, but the issue is fixable. You can negotiate a lower price to account for the cost of strengthening it. On the other hand, if the business is built on unstable processes with no clear path to improvement, it may be best to walk away. Smart buyers use operational due diligence as leverage. The more you know, the stronger your negotiating position is. Buying a business isn't just about what it's worth today, it's about ensuring will it thrive tomorrow. Operational due diligence is your safeguard against bad deals and hidden risks. So, before you sign that agreement, make sure you're not inheriting a mess. In our next episode, we'll talk about post-close integration and how to ensure a smooth transition after the deal is done. We'll see you next time.